Hello, 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 welcome back to Xanthus Gaming. We're going to be doing a little bit different of a format for this build. We've time-lapsed the video in the background to 2x speed, and we've also scripted out the entire build guide. I hope you guys do enjoy this new format. Please let me know if you do or don't, and as always, like, favorite, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you leave a comment down below or search the name of the channel, Xanthus Gaming, in the search bar for YouTube, those things greatly help out the discoverability of our YouTube channel. So if you're willing to do those things, I would really appreciate it, but if not, no big deal. Either way, thank you for being here, and let's get on into the video. First, we're going to be looking at runes with this build. The first rune that we're going to take is Recklessness. We take this because as we dive deeper into Endless, we stack more and more health. For every 2 HP that you're missing, you gain a 1% damage increase. At the start of a run, you start off with about 150 HP. If you're, say, down to 50 HP, that is missing 100, then you have gained a 50% damage boost. This is already on par with most of the damage increasing runes in the game. However, as you stack more and more HP, oftentimes you end up in the 300 to 600 HP range, just kind of depending on how far you progress. This means that you're gaining anywhere from 150% damage multiplier to a 300% damage multiplier as you lose health. That's absolutely massive. The second rune that we're going to be taking is Generalist. This is also a massive damage boost to your character. Even without Chromatic Bolt, you can get anywhere from 9 to 11 different damage type tags on spells. Each damage type tag on a spell increases your damage by 5%. We, however, are going to tease it to the next level by taking Chromatic Bolt, and it has 13 damage type tags on it. This means you get a 65% damage multiplier from this rune. As far as runes go, this is the second highest consistent damage dealing rune in the game. The third and final rune that we're going to be taking for this build is Reaper. Thanks to the fourth and fifth runes that we'll be taking, we are relatively easily able to stack up enemies with the maximum number of debuffs. The most debuffs I've seen on an enemy is 17. I ran into this at about 32 minutes and 50 seconds into my run. Since this is double speed, you'll have to kind of divide that if you want to see it, but I digress. 17 debuffs with a 5% damage increase per debuff is an 85% damage increase. The only reason I wouldn't say that this is better than Generalist is because Generalist is a flat 65% at all times, versus Reaper will go up and down depending on the number of debuffs you have on enemies. While we are able to consistently keep a high number of debuffs on enemies with this build, sometimes you do have to run away and get away from danger, and during that time, the debuffs drop, and then your damage drops from this rune. Regardless though, this rune is insanely powerful and absolutely amazing in this build because we're actually doing a good amount of damage from our dots, thanks to the ability Obliterate that we're going to be taking. Let's look at the last two runes before we go into skills though. The last two runes are Skill Mastery Chaos and Skill Affinity Chaos. What this does is it adds 6 more Chaos spells to our repertoire and forces the first active skill choice to be Chaos based. Even if you reroll this skill choice, you will get all Chaos based spells as the reroll possibilities. Because of this, we can reroll a few times at the start and make sure we get Chaos Aura no matter what, as it is a linchpin of this build. With Chaos Aura, which is a new skill that was added in the Winter 2022 update, we are able to be sure that we are always maximizing our damage off of Reaper, as well as applying many powerful debuffs, which amp up the damage of our other skills. Let's go ahead and look at the stat priorities of this build next. As far as stat priorities go, movement speed is paramount up to a point. Because you have no dodge roll on this character, you need to make him fast enough to easily outrun any bad situation that you might find yourself in. I found that typically 175% to 200% movement speed increase on this character appears to be a pretty comfortable area to stay within. With this amount of movement speed, you can pretty easily get out of most things that are going to kill you. After you get up to a comfortable amount of movement speed, you want to start focusing on general area of effect increases as well as specific area of effect increases. The specific spells that you really want to increase the area of effect on are Obliterate, Chaos Aura, Blade Storm, and Body Slam. Once you get these to a point where they're covering more or less the entire screen, you can stop collecting area of effect altogether. After this, you want to prioritize in equal parts getting as much multicast as you can, up to 800%, as well as permanent uptime on Bloodlust by gaining both cooldown reduction and duration increases. After you get permanent uptime on Bloodlust, you want to kind of focus on getting your crit up to 100%, as well as upping your max HP and upping the number of frailty stack upgrades that you have. This is essential for scaling into Endless mode, but less important in the first stage. As always with a Reaper-based build, you also want to get any synergy debuffs or debuffs on hit that you can find, as they will allow us to stack up all of our debuffs and all of our damage that much quicker. Because we have a skill that multiplies dot damage as well, this becomes even more important with this build than really any other build in the game. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and get on into skills. Now we have a mixture of damage skills and utility skills in this build. Some are meant to scale the damage of other abilities, others are meant to actually apply damage. Some abilities might look like they're underperforming because of this, but they're actually essential linchpins to the operation of the build. The first such ability is the Aura of Chaos. This ability itself does okay-ish damage if you invest into it, but we aren't really taking it for the damage. If you stack damage on this ability, it gets up there, but really the main focus of why we're taking this is that we want to be able to stack debuffs to increase the damage of Obliterate, Blade Storm, and Body Slam. This is because it applies super powerful debuffs that do damage, and then Obliterate also multiplies that damage and gets credit for the damage in the recount at the end. In addition to stacking all the different debuffs with Chaos Aura helps increase our damage for both Blade Storm and Body Slam so that we can spike damage on bosses. Obliterate is one of the few skills in the entire game that applies weakness. Weakness is a unique debuff that increases all damage received by 3% per stack, as well as increasing all damage that debuffs do by 3%. Obliterate applies 3 stacks of weakness per swing, and as such increases all damage taken by 9%, as well as 9% increase to dot damage. If you combo this with multicast when you're swinging anywhere from 3 to 6 times, you're looking at anywhere from 3 to 18% damage increase per cast for every ability that you hit with and every debuff that you apply. That's actually kind of bonkers. Chromatic Bolt is in there pretty much just for the damage multiplier with Generalist. However, it actually does decent damage, surprisingly. This is because it oftentimes benefits from the other plus damage increase skills that you're taking. So if you ever find anything that increases all chaos skills, it increases Chromatic Bolt. If you ever find anything that increases all shadow skills, it increases Chromatic Bolt. If you ever find anything that increases all physical skills, it increases Chromatic Bolt. You kind of get the idea. So even though we're not really taking Chromatic Bolt for the damage, we're mostly taking it for the multiplier with the rune, it actually does decent damage in and of itself. So don't be afraid to take epic or legendary upgrades for this particular ability. Blade Storm is a ability that is a just absolute juggernaut of a damage dealer within this build. It applies map-wide damage rapidly and significantly boosts your damage by helping you stack up your debuffs even faster on enemies, which Obliterate then multiplies the damage of. This basically is our trash killing ability. It clears out the map so that we can focus more on the bosses and less on the bombers and other random guys who are running around. Speaking of bosses, Body Slam is our single single target burst damage ability and boss killing ability, as well as elite killing ability. It's one of the hardest hitting, reliable damage abilities in the game, and it really shines for multicast. We can also relatively easily scale the size of this ability so it hits more or less the entire map. This means that we're constantly smashing the whole map for lots and lots of damage, and we're really slamming, pun intended, those bosses. Finally, Bloodlust increases our movement speed further, as well as giving us a massive boost to our attack speed, so we're always smashing those enemies. I'm going to let you watch the remainder of this run play out with the time-lapse gameplay that's going on in the background currently. I really hope that you did enjoy this build. If you did and you want to support the channel, the best way again to do so is leave a comment down below, search the name of our channel, like the video, and subscribe. Either way, thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this build guide. I hope it was helpful, and I hope you're able to take it into max curse difficulty and smash with Death Knight. Have fun and enjoy the rest of this build.